At the end of Halo Infinite's story in the alternate ending, we hear something interesting. Mention of an ancient Forerunner entity that has never made its appearance in a mainline Halo game until now, at least physically. Today we are going to discuss who this AI was and why it may be super important when it comes to sequels down the line.
And we cannot allow it to be theirs. If Halo cannot end them, it must imprison them. When it is done, the engineers will be busy. We will learn their secrets.
I fear I cannot do this alone.
You shall not be alone. The Criterion has given the order. Offensive bias has been deployed.
So that line, offensive bias has been deployed, is the key. Now at this point we know that the cutscene we view and the dialogue we hear are from two separate times. This dialogue from very long ago does give us a lot of information on where the story may head though. Once upon a time, the Forerunners created an AI named Mendicant Bias, whose job was to defend their species from the parasitic Flood. Mendicant would control Flood test facilities, labs, and worlds like Installation 07. As time passed, Mendicant would become infected by what later turned out to be the Gravemind though, turning it against its Forerunner creators and unleashing the Flood infection.
Oh, this is local! Get back here, Marine! That's an order! Take it!
So what was the solution from the Forerunners? Well, they created another AI to combat it, to hunt down that corrupted one, and its name was Offensive Bias. Offensive had some interesting capabilities, able to control Forerunner systems, ships, and installation like the Halos and systems on the Ark. The story between these two AIs is quite intriguing actually, and you can find information on it in the Halo 3 terminals, as well as some new books. As the tale goes, Mendicant went all rampant and amassed itself a giant Flood army. With its 5 million plus ships, it would then invade the Ark, attempting to stop Offensive and the ISO Didact from activating the rings which would cleanse the Flood. During this battle, Mendicant contacted Offensive, trying to sway it back to join the dark side. It was corrupted, maybe it could corrupt Offensive and they could be an unstoppable force, but Offensive was not having any of it. In the end, the Halo rings were fired, and immediately Offensive Bias outsmarted Mendicant. All of those Flood vessels were cleansed, and Offensive would take control of them and the warships.
The device would destroy the infection and its food supply. 1,000 other plans were tried and failed. This was the last resort. Halo. Finally, it was over in an instant. Every intelligent life form left in the galaxy was obliterated.
Mendicant's core was then entombed on the Ark alive, as the Forerunners deemed it might have some worthy knowledge on the Flood, and they may need to refer back to it sometime in the future. As for Offensive though, not much is known after this except for this, that about 77 years after the firing of the rings, Offensive Bias was deployed on Zeta Halo to guard the Zalanin.
Designed to destroy all sentient life, nothing was allowed to survive. And we were sure that nothing had. We were wrong. The Council has also provided me with an additional and curious directive. We must understand the extent of what their kind can truly endure. There are facilities on this ring quite ideal for conducting such tests.
The Forerunners had realized that this endless species survived the firing of their rings, and they did not like that. Despondent, Pyre, and Offensive Bias were then stationed to guard them at the Silent Auditorium.
My makers, the Forerunner's greatest fear was understood to be the great parasite. The Flood. A scourge that almost wiped out everything. I now believe this hypothesis to be incorrect. Their greatest fear was losing their power. The fear of a master who would become a slave. Enemy within. That is the meaning of the runes carved into this monument. These runes predate me. Older than even the Forerunners. Time moves forward and back again. I now see rings inside of rings. Great circles everlasting. Without beginning or end. Endless.
So if that's what happened, where's Offensive Bias now? We met Despondent Pyre in the campaign, but there was no sign of Offensive. Or was there? Again, this is another one of those wait for later moments, possibly DLC, but during the final boss fight, the weapon says this.
We could not defend ourselves. We could not reason with them.
Something's sending a signal. Before you ask, I'm already tracking it. She switched transmitters, rerouting the power through that one. This isn't good. The connection is sentient. It's searching for something. It's switched again. It's found something.
What?
No idea, but I doubt it's good. Wait, there's something else here. Something's helping me.
So who was helping her? Was it fragments of Cortana left behind helping out the Master Chief? Or was this Offensive Bias? It's logical to think that, hey, that was Cortana, she just sacrificed herself to save Master Chief, but Offensive was deployed to contain the Endless. So if the AI was still around, it would make sense to help considering they were about to escape and be brought back. Now it does feel like an AI of that stature would need to appear in a moment as important as this, bringing back the alien species it was guarding, but 343 clearly has something planned for the character and maybe we'll see that someday. So technically both of these AI could return if that's what they decided to do. Mendicant only really would be useful if the Flood were to make a return. There's really no reason to go dig him up unless some enemy does. But next to that, Offensive definitely seems more likely given that cutscene. Let me know in the comments down below, do you think we'll see Offensive Bias sometime in the future? Are there other secret references throughout the campaign that connect to Offensive Bias that you know? Let us know down below. If you'd like to see some more Halo lore and mysteries just like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you all in the next video.